More than 200 US retailers have agreed to switch to cage-free egg systems by 2025. The move will bring major changes to the way birds are produced, but it will also mean big shifts in the way bird health and welfare need to be managed.
I think the biggest thing is understanding the systems. We know when we were producing in traditional cages, it was fairly easy. You know that how you had to manage them, how you had to try to work the birds to get the best production. Now that we're on the ground and we're in aviaries, it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more planning.
The biggest thing is making sure that you grow the birds in the same type environment that they're going to. In other words, you don't want to grow a bird in a cage operation and then take them to a cage-free, because training them to find feed, find water, when in the past it's been right in front of them.
Anytime you put a bird in close contact with their waste material, the feces, anything that passes through the gut now has a higher likelihood of causing disease problems in the birds. And when they're on the floor or in their aviary system, they are in direct contact with their feces. So you have a lot of disease problems you didn't see in the cage systems.
We're starting to see a lot of diseases come back into the poultry world that we had more or less eradicated 40 or 50 years ago when we'd taken the birds off the floor. We've seen worms. We don't have very many options for treating roundworms or tapeworms, and so that has been more of a challenge when we've gone out. And then, of course, viral diseases. Bronchitis has always been a challenge in the industry, and fortunately, we haven't really had issues in the U.S. with Newcastle disease or metapneumoviruses, but that's always a concern.
Well, one of the things that you see a lot more of is coccidia, which had historically been a broiler problem because they'd been raised on the litter their entire lives. As a subsequent problem to that, necrotic enteritis is coming in, and that's very deadly to the bird.
Being on the floor, obviously salmonella is a huge topic for anyone in the layer industry to keep that out of our houses. And then moving to the lay house and even later in grow, respiratory issues and E. coli are, I guess, come up on the radar a little bit more because they have access to the bedding and they can dust bathe. It just creates an environment that the opportunity for potential respiratory issues, I would say, is elevated. I do believe the tools are available, like a coccidiosis vaccine and then other vaccines for E. coli and salmonella that will help any aviary operation.
We're still going to be seeing the bacterial infections that are commonplace just from dust, air quality issues as well. We got that E. coli vaccine, which helps tremendously, but there's a ton of other bacteria. I mean, we're seeing more of fowl cholera, and the problem with that is when you go out in the field and you open up birds in the field, E. coli and fowl cholera look almost virtually identical. So lots of times we get called and said, oh, your E. coli vaccine's not working. We've got an E. coli break. And when you actually tell them to go and culture the birds, it comes back fowl cholera.
Antibiotics have always been something that veterinarians hold very sacred, because we use those to be able to treat birds accurately, be able to use them for the right diseases, and really it's a welfare situation as well in order to be able to treat birds that are sick. When we have to use a system without antibiotics, we focus a lot more than we've ever had to on the proactive and preventative measures.